I like this question. I want to jump on this one. Open element versus closed element intake for the MQB. Will the open intake heat soak faster in a hot climate versus closed? Does the underhood temperatures affect performance on the open? Okay, this I see people debating this on the groups often. I usually don't chime in because those aren't necessarily always the best place to have constructive communications. But I see a lot of people get it wrong, unfortunately. So we offer open and closed intakes. This is a closed air box. Is this the new one for the 8J?
No, that's the closed AV. Yeah.
We are releasing a closed 8J TTRS, the Gen 2 TTRS intake. So for any of you that have our intake, that we always sold that as open, but we've had many requests for a closed version, and it looks more or less like this. And so we're releasing that, I think, probably this week. But we offer the closed and open, and the only reason we really do, well, there's two reasons, but the main one is for sound. So the open intake typically is, you get more induction sound because it's not being dampened inside a closed space. The other thing about open intakes, they do something very well is because it's open, they never see the kind of vacuum or pressure drop or flow restriction that a fully closed intake will see. So, for example, there's a very popular closed intake on the market that many DAZA guys run. And the guys that really want to make power with it, they end up cutting holes in it because otherwise it becomes restrictive and it has pressure drops. A lot of them don't talk about that, but they do that. So when you have an open intake, it's I don't know, it's like take a Coke bottle and suck on it, and you can collapse it, cut the bottom off, and you won't be able to do anything. It's the same thing with the intake.
Or better yet, drill a couple small holes. You'll still suck the thing shut. But you keep opening it up more and more.
The more and more you open up. But in our case, we're cutting the whole top off. There's no top, and it's just like cutting the whole bottom off. You're not going to ever be able to suck hard enough to restrict in any way. So then the conversation invariably goes to, well, it's supposed to be a cold air intake. And so since it's open under the hood, that means it's sucking in hot air, and that destroys the performance benefit. Well, there is a performance benefit to open intakes. And yes, there is heat under the hood. However, all of our X34 intakes that are open, first off, they draw air from the front core support, which is cool frontal air from the front of the car. And once the car starts moving, the engine compartment becomes flooded with ambient air from outside. If it didn't, your engine would overheat. The air has to flow through the radiator and out of the engine compartment. And so we actually log these temps. And if you were idling around town, yes, you would have some air.
Some slightly warmer temps. Yeah, right at very low speeds.
But once you're moving or accelerating, certainly if you're going 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 100 miles, I mean, imagine and put your hand out the window and you can feel the air moving past the car. Well, some amount of that air is also evacuating the heat in your engine compartment. So that means that an open air intake, when the car is moving, is ingesting cool air. Most of it's coming from the front of the car.
Yeah, and that's all provided that the ducting is done well. And we maintain and actually improve all of the factory ducting for these. We have a larger plenum as well as basically a secondary upgrade for these to get even more of that fresh air to kind of bathe that open element.
Right. So if you're looking for the most performance, our testing shows that an open intake is the best route, and that's why we offer it for all of our intakes. Some markets, like the TUV, require a closed intake to be compliant, and so in German markets. But you can look on our product pages. Our closed air intakes, the dyno gains that we post are less because it is more closed intake is virtually always, as a general rule, it's going to be more restricted.
You've got a longer flow path no matter what.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the story. Once the car is moving, the engine compartment is not filled with hot air, and the intake is not ingesting hot air. That's our position. Again, and that's based on our testing.
Yeah, that's with our, ducts and shrouds. If you're putting a filter behind a radiator, you're going to get
Everything
hot
I'm talking about is with our
Yeah,
projects. If you put a filter on a stick, I mean,
with nothing else
there's
around
one
it.
DAS intake out there. It's just a filter sitting in the engine compartment. So there's not even.
Yeah, we're talking
any
with
kind of
with the
shroud or
shrouding and shielding we have.
But
in
yeah,
place.
we do shield the bottom and the sides, and the only thing that's open is the top. So great question, and thank you. So
Yep.